Is de Vries signing for Alpine? Nyck de Vries is a talent that we all know is capable of performing in F1, but nobody knew that he could do it that well. In Italy, de Vries scored his first career points in the first race in F1, racing for the worst team on the grid, Williams. He spent more time in the top 10 in laps compared to Latifi, who was in Williams from 2020. That is surely an accomplishment that de Vries can boast about, but boasting itself isn't enough, as de Vries is looking to enter the sport with a regular seat. If that was easier said than done in the past, now the opportunities have expanded massively for the Dutchman. There is a high possibility that he will sign with Alpine, and if you want to find out more about this deal, stick around with us until the end of this video. Nyck de Vries won our hearts during the Monza GP, and his first career point showed us that his place is indeed in the sport. After trying out in multiple free practices with Mercedes and Aston Martin and also Williams, de Vries has received his chance to race in F1, and boy did he use it right. After participating in FP1 with Aston Martin, Nyck has replaced Alex Albon due to the tie suffering from appendicitis and having to undergo a surgical procedure on Friday. Nyck said that he was so excited that he didn't sleep throughout the whole night, and on top of that he managed to go into Q2 and out-qualify his teammate Latifi, who is proving week in and week out that his place just isn't in F1. That is why multiple sources have already connected de Vries to Williams, even prior to his amazing debut for the team. But from what other reports say, de Vries' place could be in Alpine too, and that is a far more attractive market compared to Williams. Nevertheless, Alpine is looking forward to signing Gasly, but they are being held by the super license thing with Colton Herta. AlphaTauri said that the only chance that they'll release the Frenchman is if they can sign Herta in return, and that they don't have another replacement in mind. This is why the super license is the ultimatum for Alpine and AlphaTauri in order to execute the drivers' contracts to perfection. And if this doesn't happen, then de Vries would probably be the happiest guy on earth. Christian Horner spoke about this matter, adding, "I think he is an exciting talent. He's a younger American guy that's been a standout talent in the US, so it'll be very interesting to see how he performs in F1. And F1 is growing in popularity in the US market at the moment, and to have a successful US driver could be very interesting. It could be very interesting for us in the longer term. I mean, we've got contracts with our existing drivers, but AlphaTauri or Toro Rosso, they've produced a great stable of drivers for us to draw upon, whether it be Sebastian or Max or Daniel over the years. I think Pierre is doing a good job within AlphaTauri, so I don't think there will be a desire to change if there wasn't an interesting option available," said Horner. Nyck de Vries also spoke about the situation with the super license, saying that he trusts the FIA to do the right thing and not undermine its own rules in order to grant a driver with a super license in a situation where tons of drivers with super license are waiting in line. He said, "I trust in the governing body. I think rules are there to be respected. There are plenty of other drivers in the market that have super license points. The necessity is not necessarily that high to go and give someone dispensation to get a super license. Plus, in my own opinion, it would give an incorrect precedent and example to the Formula 2 and Formula 3 championships," said Nyck. He also spoke about the investments that are made in F3 and F2, as we all know that there are drivers that are backed up by senior F1 teams on these battlefields, and every team is trying to groom the perfect talent and find the perfect driver for their future. According to Nyck, American drivers will be much more motivated to join F3 and F2 if Herta was allowed to race there. The knock-on effect would be much greater than just giving dispensation. First, because there would be many more knocking on the door for a certain request. Secondly, you could argue that people going from Formula 4 to Formula 3 could decide to escape to the US because in Indy Lights you only have 12 cars on the grid, and it's much easier to score points, and then you could come back. Then you almost kill and jeopardize the ladder we have been building over the years, which is now so nice. I compare our platform to what we see in MotoGP 3 and 2. There is a clear ladder, a clear path to Formula 1, so it would be a shame if we jeopardize our system, and I also think it's unnecessary," finished Nyck. It's not a secret that de Vries has been related to Williams previously, but it wasn't certain if the team will continue its collaboration with Mercedes and continue buying engines from the Brackley-based team. There were reports that Williams would take Alpine's engines and take Piastri as a driver for the 2023 season, but now that deal has fallen through. De Vries could very well have a chance in Williams too. At least the team will have a chance to move up the ladder and try to secure bigger prize money by finishing P9 or even P8 in next season. We've seen that Albon and Nyck can score points in Williams, but if Alpine is considering giving Nyck a place in F1, then things will change dramatically. Nyck de Vries spoke about his future, adding that there isn't anything that he could do anymore in order to prove to the F1 teams that he deserves a spot. And keep in mind that this was said prior to his amazing debut in Williams. I wouldn't build my future on solely hope and on the volatility of this paddock, but at the same time, it is a dream I'd like to fulfill, and I also think I deserve an opportunity. So I will be judging the opportunities carefully in the upcoming time, and then, decide what is ultimately best for my career. I don't have a management, not really, officially as such, but time will tell. I don't know. It's out of my hands. It's not in my control. Obviously, it's a dream, and I think I would deserve a chance, but ultimately, it's not up to me to decide driver lineup. Finished Nyck. I mean, I don't have to sell myself. I've won certain things. I've been given the opportunity to participate in some of the FP1s. I deserve a chance, but it's not always just about what you've shown or what you've done. You need a bit of momentum. The timings need to be right. There needs to be a place. It's just purely based on what you've done in the past. Finished de Vries. Apart from him, Alpine is considering another driver in mind, and that is Jack Doohan. The young Australian driver has been linked to an F1 debut as he is having an amazing season in F2 and is currently signed under Alpine's academy. However, it's unlikely that Alpine will give Doohan a chance to race in F1 immediately in Alpine, since he does lack experience. According to reports, Alpine will look forward to placing Doohan in another team in order to secure some experience, the same pattern they wanted to apply to Piastri. However, they'll have to be careful in order for this thing to not backfire on them as badly as it did with Piastri. We saw what de Vries was capable of in Williams, and we can only imagine what he can do in Alpine. The team already had an increased interest in de Vries prior to the Monza GP, and we can see the FIA not granting Herta the super license because of the protests of Vasseur, Wolff and Steiner. Reports said that if the FIA was to give Herta his super license, investments in F3 and F2 would drop, since there wouldn't be any sense to invest in these breeding grounds for F1 talent, and guys that haven't stepped there would receive a chance in F1 ahead of them. It's clear why the sport wants a USA-based driver so badly, as we all know how the sport has grown in recent years in the States. With the implementation of new tracks in Miami and Vegas, having Herta in the sport would work wonders for the sport's revenue, and the team that would sign Herta would profit amazingly. Of course, if Herta performs badly, then he'll be bashed like Latifi is now in Williams, as it's more than certain that Herta will draw some USA-based sponsors along himself in his F1 entrance. What do you think is next for Alpine and de Vries? Do you think that the Dutchman has a chance in the Enston-based team? Let us know in the comments below.